All right. So what have we studied in that? Yes, we have studied that the pneumotaxic center will limit the duration of inspiration. Okay, it can moderate the function of respiratory rhythm center. NCRT dorsal respiratory group को respiratory rhythm center भी बोलता है, correct? Yes, dorsal respiratory group is the respiratory rhythm center according to NCRT. And ventral respiratory group मतलब it controls normal breathing, normal expiration and inspiration. Ventral respiratory group will actually help in forceful expiration and inspiration. Now the main control center is actually pneumotaxic center. Okay, so what happens is, where is pneumotaxic center present? Pneumotaxic center is present within the pons. Now pneumotaxic center will do two things. So pneumotaxic center does not allow the dorsal respiratory center to work properly, as in it controls the dorsal respiratory center. So it controls the dorsal respiratory center. मतलब it will always send inhibitory signals. मतलब अगर dorsal respiratory center अपने आप से काम करने लग जाए तो हमारा respiration मतलब हमारा ये बहुत ज़्यादा काम करेगा. तो what pneumotaxic center does is this. Okay, it will always act on dorsal respiratory center, right? But in two conditions, in two different conditions, two important things will happen. Okay, when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide decreases, तब changes अलग होंगे. When partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases, तब changes अलग होंगे. Now when partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases means there is more carbon dioxide. That means when acidity in the blood increases. Acidity in blood is also called acidosis. Similarly, when partial pressure of carbon dioxide decreases, that means the acidity in blood also decreases. So ये दोनों conditions में pneumotaxic center will control the dorsal respiratory center in different ways. So let's see what are those different ways. Now when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide decreases, pneumotaxic center sends a signal to dorsal respiratory center. Dorsal respiratory center acts on diaphragm and external intercostal muscle, and it does this. What it does is it increases the duration of inspiration. So inspiration will take a lot of time. That will increase. So if partial pressure of carbon dioxide decreases, then duration of inspiration will decrease. That increase. Duration of inspiration increases का मतलब क्या होगा? The inspiration is slower. ज़्यादा समय लगा रहा है. That means what will happen if the duration of inspiration is greater? Then the respiratory rate is inversely proportional, right? So respiratory rate decreases. So if the partial pressure of carbon dioxide decreases, the respiratory rate also decreases. Matlab there will be slower breathing. On the other hand, if the partial pressure of carbon dioxide increases, then dorsal respiratory group will do this. It will take the duration of inspiration and it will decrease the duration of inspiration. Matlab there will be faster inspiration. It will happen very quickly. That means there will be more breaths in a minute. So thus we can say that the respiratory rate increases. So this is the control. So pneumotactic center controls the respiratory rhythm center, and here the respiratory rhythm center that we are talking about is dorsal respiratory group. Something similar happens even in ventral respiratory group, but there it will cause forced inspiration. So when our body needs forced inspiration, this is what happens. Now details of this is not there in your syllabus, but what you need to understand is, if the quantity of or the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, if the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in blood increases, that means respiratory rate also increases. So this is important. Now you realize that this center or the respiratory groups, okay, dorsal respiratory group या dorsal respiratory center कहाँ पे होता है? Medulla में. They are not dependent on partial pressure of oxygen. So partial pressure of oxygen के जगह partial pressure of carbon dioxide is responsible for modulating the rate of respiration. तो हमारा ब्रीदिंग रेट पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ ऑक्सीजन के कम होने की वजह से नहीं होता है, पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड का बॉडी में बढ़ जाने से होता है. ओके, so this is about the regulation, the flow chart which helps us in understanding. Once you finish this, just write done so that we know and we can move forward. Okay, then now how does the pneumotaxic center come to know, okay, whether partial pressure of oxygen has or carbon dioxide has increased or decreased? Now respiratory centers get their information, or they are controlled by, matlab the signals are sent by chemoreceptors. Chemoreceptors, okay, they detect chemicals in blood, so they are also called chemical chemoreceptors. Chemical chemoreceptors. Chemical chemoreceptors. Okay. They detect the changes in partial pressure of carbon dioxide in blood. Okay. And then they send the signals to the various centers. Chemoreceptors are classified as, based on their position, central chemoreceptors, and the second one is called peripheral chemoreceptors. Central chemoreceptors and peripheral chemoreceptors. They are called central and peripheral based on the location. Central chemoreceptors are located in medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata has respiratory rhythm center, जिसको हम लोग dorsal respiratory group भी बोलते हैं, correct? Peripheral chemoreceptors are present. They are located in the blood vessels. In the blood vessels. There are two peripheral chemoreceptors. One is a chemoreceptor present in the carotid artery. Carotid artery is artery of the neck, and there is a small dilated portion. That dilated portion is called sinus. So it's called coronary sinus. तो वहाँ पे peripheral chemoreceptors होते हैं. And the second one is present in the aorta. So aortic sinus. मतलब ये तीनों जगह पे, मतलब मेडुला ऑब्लोंगेटा में, कैरोटिड आर्टरी में और एओर्टा में ऐसे सेल्स होते हैं who detect changes in the chemicals in air. Sorry, changes in chemical in body fluid. Now medulla oblongata lies in the brain. So medulla oblongata contains cerebrospinal fluid. So basically the central chemoreceptors detect the acidity of CSF. They detect the acidity of cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid is fluid which is present in the brain and the spinal cord. Cerebrospinal fluid. Now whenever there is increased acidity, it means that carbon dioxide has diffused more. That indicates increase in partial pressure of carbon dioxide. This will send a signal to, because of this, because of the central chemoreceptors being activated, it will send a signal to pneumotaxic center, and pneumotaxic center will, partial pressure of carbon dioxide बढ़ गया, मतलब बॉडी में कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बढ़ गया तो उसको निकालना पड़ेगा. So respiratory rate will increase. Even peripheral chemoreceptors, they also detect changes or increase in partial pressure of carbon dioxide or partial pressure or increase acidity, but they are surrounded by blood. ठीक है ना? So important point क्या है देखो, cerebrospinal fluid, like most of the fluids in the body, is produced by filtration of blood. तो अगर it is produced by filtration of blood and majority of the carbon dioxide is not transported by hemoglobin, only 23% is right. तो अगर ब्लड में एसिडिटी ज़्यादा है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज़्यादा है, तो CSF में भी कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज़्यादा होगा. पर ये दोनों तो डायरेक्टली ब्लड का पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड डिटेक्ट करते हैं. ओके, नाउ पेरिफेरल कीमोरिसेप्टर्स कैन डिटेक्ट very minimal changes. They can detect very minimal changes in partial pressure of oxygen. So they ask you, changes in what helps in increasing heart rate? Changes in carbon dioxide. So NCERT का एक स्टेटमेंट है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेटमेंट है. The role of oxygen in regulation of respiratory rhythm. The role of oxygen in regulation of respiratory rhythm is, tell me, is a lot? Is it a lot or is it insignificant? The role of oxygen. The role of oxygen in regulating the rate of respiration rhythm is insignificant or a lot? Yes, is insignificant. That means हम लोग का ब्रेथ रेट बढ़ेगा कम होगा डिपेंडिंग ऑन कितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है ब्लड में, एंड नॉट डिपेंडिंग ऑन कितना ऑक्सीजन है ब्लड में. सो दिस इज हाउ इट इज कंट्रोल्ड. सो ये जो नो रिसेप्टर्स है ना, ये चेंजेस डिटेक्ट करते हैं और किसको भेजते हैं? न्यूमोटैक्सिक सेंटर को. Also, adding one more point, pneumotaxic center is also controlled by the 10th cranial nerve. The 10th cranial nerve is a nerve which begins from the brain. It actually begins from medulla oblongata. It is the longest cranial nerve. It's called the vagus nerve. And vagus nerve is parasympathetic in action. Vagus nerve is parasympathetic in action. So if vagus nerve is parasympathetic in action, children, can you tell me about the vagus nerve, whether it will increase respiratory rate or decrease respiratory rate? रेस्पिरेटरी रेट बढ़ाएगा कि वो कम करेगा? वेरी गुड खुशी. पैरासिम्पैथेटिक, सिंपैथेटिक हार्ट रेट रेस्पिरेटरी रेट बढ़ाता है. पैरासिम्पैथेटिक रेस्पिरेटरी रेट कम करता है. पैरासिम्पैथेटिक का मतलब होता है टू कूल डाउन. टू कूल डाउन. ठीक है. So this completes the respiratory system. Then there are two things which are important but not given in the books. One is, in the so when air enters the tube, okay, especially in the bronchi and the terminal bronchioles, right? अगर एयर का प्रेशर बहुत ज़्यादा होगा तो क्या होगा? ये जो ट्यूब है वो थोड़ा सा स्ट्रेच हो जाएगा. अब इस ट्यूब के अंदर देर आर रिसेप्टर्स कॉल्ड स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स. Stretch receptors are activated when the terminal bronchiole, terminal bronchiole or smaller bronchi get a lot of air. When they get a lot of air, the stretch receptors will get activated. Once the stretch receptors get activated, they will send signals to the respiratory centers. They will send signals to the respiratory center and it will switch off inspiration. Switch off inspiration का मतलब क्या होगा? वो ब्रीदिंग मतलब इंस्पिरेशन और एयर कम कर देगा, तो दिस will come back to normal. It will no longer remain stretched. So this actually prevents the alveoli from bursting with prevents overstretching or bursting of alveoli. ठीक है. सो क्या होता है, अगर बहुत हवा चल रहा है टर्मिनल ब्रोंकियोल में तो स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स एक्टिवेटेड हो जाएगा. स्ट्रेच रिसेप्टर्स एक्टिवेटेड होके वो सिग्नल्स भेजेगा रेस्पिरेटरी सेंटर को. रेस्पिरेटरी सेंटर में पहुंच के वो इंस्पिरेशन को बंद कर देगा. दस ओवर एयर का बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशर अंदर नहीं जा सकता है. यस. Now this was discovered by two people. One was Herring and the second is called Brewer. So this reflex is called the Herring-Brewer reflex. The Herring-Brewer reflex. Herring-Brewer reflex. Okay. So please make a note of this. In the wall of the bronchi and terminal bronchioles, stretch receptors are present which are normally inactive, but they become active when filled with large amount of air. This sends inhibitory signals to the inspiratory center, that is dorsal respiratory group, to switch off inspiration. Thus, I can say this is a protective reflex which prevents the alveoli from overstretching or bursting. Once you finish this, just write done, so that I know you're done and we can move on. Are we through? Please type done so that we can move forward. All right. Then I'm just introducing, कुछ जगह पे questions आते हैं, but just introducing, this will be a part of cellular respiration though, but I'll just introduce this to you. There's a concept called respiratory quotient. ओके इसके बहुत सारे डिटेल नहीं आपको जानने की जरूरत है. रेस्पिरेटरी कोशेंट सिंपली मीन्स द वॉल्यूम ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड liberated during respiration upon volume of oxygen used up. Okay, so if I talk about the reaction, C6H12O6 is glucose. Glucose combines with 6 molecules of water, the 6 molecules of oxygen to produce 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water vapor, and 38 ATP. Now this is in the presence of oxygen or aerobic respiration. So what is respiratory quotient? If I use glucose as the substrate for aerobic respiration, it's going to be 6 moles of oxygen and 6 moles of carbon dioxide. So it's going to be 6 upon 6, which is going to be 1. If I use the same glucose for anaerobic respiration, in anaerobic respiration, now in anaerobic respiration, the reaction is C6H12O6 plus, in fact nothing, oxygen is not required, 2 times ethyl alcohol C2H5O2, 2 carbon dioxide and 2 ATP. So in anaerobic respiration, it is going to be 2 upon 0. So in anaerobic respiration, the respiratory quotient is infinity. The respiratory quotient for fats is less than 1, it's around 0.7, and the respiratory quotient for proteins is slightly more, it is 0.9. So respiratory quotient simply translates to volume of carbon dioxide released to the volume of oxygen Okay, so moving on, we come to the last part of the chapter now, and that is diseases related to the respiratory system. So what are the various diseases related to the respiratory system? Now the first disease related to the respiratory system, the first disease related to the respiratory system that we have in our syllabus is called hypoxia. Hypoxia. So hypoxia का मतलब है lack of oxygen at the tissue level. So tissues में जब ऑक्सीजन कम हो जाता है तब हम उसको बोलते हैं हाइपोक्सिया. सो टिश्यूज तक ऑक्सीजन कम क्यों हो सकता है? एक सिंपल चीज है कि आरबीसीज ही कम हो गए. ओके, अगर आरबीसीज ही कम हो गए, अगर आरबीसीज कम हो गए तो द सेल्स अगर आरबीसीज कम हो गए तो अनीमिया हो सकता है, राइट? तो अगर अनीमिया होगा तो ऑक्सीजन रीचिंग द सेल्स विल बी लेस, सो इट्स कॉल्ड अनीमिक हाइपोक्सिया. नाउ इसमें क्या है, peripheral chemoreceptors don't detect anything bound to hemoglobin. So अगर एक पर्सन को अनीमिया है तो उसके पेरिफेरल कीमोरिसेप्टर्स एक्टिवेट नहीं होंगे. ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. इफ अ पर्सन सफर्स फ्रॉम अनीमिक हाइपोक्सिया, उसके पेरिफेरल कीमोरिसेप्टर स्टिमुलेट नहीं होंगे, बिकॉज पेरिफेरल कीमोरिसेप्टर सिर्फ डिसॉल्व्ड ऑक्सीजन को डिटेक्ट करते हैं, ऑक्सीजन बाउंड टू हीमोग्लोबिन को नहीं करते हैं. Then the second one is called cytotoxic hypoxia or cytotoxic, या इसको अनीमिया नहीं होगा, दिस विल बी साइटोटॉक्सिक हाइपोक्सिया. मतलब यहाँ पे सेल में कोई टॉक्सिन है, इधर सेल में कोई टॉक्सिन है, ठीक है? लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल इफ somebody takes cyanide poisoning, तो ऑक्सीजन even though it is available, the cyanide interferes with the enzyme of respiration and does not allow oxygen to be utilized. Then our next condition is called stagnant anemia. ये सब अनीमिया है, ये हाइपोक्सिया होगा. स्टैग्नेंट हाइपोक्सिया. स्टैग्नेंट हाइपोक्सिया मतलब ब्लड फ्लो बिकम्स स्लो. So if the heart is not pumping properly, then the blood is not reaching the tissues properly, and if the blood is not reaching the tissues properly, it will be hypoxia. And the last one is called hypoxic hypoxia. ये सिंपल है, अगर बाहर ऑक्सीजन कम है तो आपके ब्लड में भी ऑक्सीजन कम होगा. समझा? हाइपोक्सिया, लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन एट द टिश्यू लेवल. सिंपल क्या है, अगर बाहर ऑक्सीजन कम है तो आपको बॉडी में भी ऑक्सीजन कम होगा, उसको बोलेंगे हाइपोक्सिक हाइपोक्सिया. बाहर ऑक्सीजन नॉर्मल है पर आपको आरबीसीज का कमी है, उसको हम बोलेंगे अनीमिक हाइपोक्सिया. बाहर, ठीक है? अब बाहर ऑक्सीजन नॉर्मल है, आपका आरबीसीज भी नॉर्मल है, तो सेल में शायद कोई पॉइजन होगा जो ऑक्सीजन को लेने नहीं दे रहा है, दैट्स कॉल्ड साइटोटॉक्सिक हाइपोक्सिया। एंड स्टैग्नेंट हाइपोक्सिया का मतलब क्या है? The problem is somewhere in the heart that the blood is not reaching the tissues properly. Okay, so that's the first disorder. The second and third disorder we are going to study together. Hypoxia is less oxygen. We are studying one more, rather two more disorders. One is called anoxia and the second one is called asphyxia. ना कोई भी है ना, आपको बहुत सारा ये वर्ड का मीनिंग नहीं पूछते हैं, but it is मतलब nobody is going to ask you details of this, you need to know the meanings. Okay, anoxia, hypoxia was less oxygen, anoxia is what? No oxygen. If no oxygen is available at tissue, it's called anoxia. Then something similar to that word is called asphyxia. Asphyxia matlab घुटन, suffocation due to lack of oxygen, suffocation due to lack of oxygen and retention of carbon dioxide. So ऑक्सीजन की कमी और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड का इंक्रीज इन द बॉडी, मतलब इसमें हाइपर कैप्निया मतलब इंक्रीज कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड और हाइपोक्सिया साथ में होता है। तो जैसे किसी का गला घोट के, अगर किसी का गला पकड़ लो आप, तो आप क्या कर रहे हो? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड निकलने नहीं दे रहे हो और ऑक्सीजन अंदर आने नहीं दे रहे हो, तो उसको आप बोलेंगे एस्फिक्सिया। ठीक है ना? सपोज कोई लेटा हुआ है और सपोज कोई क्रिमिनल एक तकिया किसी को के मुंह पे रख के उसका मर्डर करता है, तो तकिया भी अगर आप मुंह पे रख रहे हो तो कहीं ना कहीं ऑक्लूजन मतलब ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन, मतलब पूरे एयरवे के पाथवे में कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन होगा, तब उसको हम बोलते हैं एस्फिक्सिया। जनरली अगर मैं उसको हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट करूंगा तो गला घोटना, बट गला घोटना जरूरी नहीं है कि कोई हाथ से ही करेगा। अगर किसी को आप पानी में डुबा दो, पानी में रखो उसका सर, तो क्या होगा? सेम होने वाला है। पानी में रखेगा तो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड निकल नहीं पाएगा और पानी का ऑक्सीजन अंदर नहीं आ पाएगा। सो अगेन द पर्सन may die due to asphyxia due to drowning. बराबर? So and hypoxia, no less oxygen, anoxia, no oxygen, asphyxia is suffocation due to lack of oxygen. Then there is a fourth disease which is not 100% related to the respiratory system only, but respiratory system has a major role in it. Okay, and that disease is, yes Aditya, but if you try to breathe out and then you breathe in, you will be taking water from your nose, which will choke the lungs. Okay. All right. So the next one is called cyanosis. Cyanosis. Cyan means होता है blue. ये याद रखना, जिधर भी वर्ड आएगा साइनोफिल, cyan का मतलब होता है blue. So cyanosis मतलब there is bluish or violet color of the skin. Now bluish color of the skin occurs when oxygen supply to that area is less or carbon dioxide is more. So this develops due to the presence of excessive amount of reduced hemoglobin or partially deoxygenated blood or due to inadequate amount of oxygen in blood. ये तीनों का मतलब होता है ऑक्सीजन ब्लड में कम है। नाउ अगर कोई बहुत एक्सट्रीमली लो क्लाइमेट में कोई माउंटेन चढ़ता है, तो जब वो एक्सट्रीमली लो क्लाइमेट में माउंटेन चढ़ेगा तो क्या होगा? तो लो टेम्परेचर हो जाता है जिसमें कार्बोनिक एनहाइड्रेस बिकम्स इनएक्टिव। अब कार्बोनिक एनहाइड्रेस बिकम्स इनएक्टिव, तो जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है वो बाइकार्बोनेट नहीं बन सकता है, तो ब्लड में वो अक्यूमुलेट होगा एंड इट विल ट्राई टू डिस्प्लेस ऑक्सीजन फ्रॉम हीमोग्लोबिन। याद है, हीमोग्लोबिन इज अ हबी, उसके दो बीवियां हैं, ऑक्सीजन एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड। ठीक है। तो पूरा बॉडी ब्लू पड़ने लगेगा, ठीक है। तो अगर बॉडी में कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ज्यादा हो जाता है, ऑक्सीजन कम हो जाता है, तो बॉडी और स्किन ब्लू होने लगते हैं, उसको हम लोग साइनोसिस बोलते हैं, साइनोसिस। So that was our fourth disease. Then our fifth disease is the one which is mentioned in NCERT, and an important one because NEET में बहुत सारे questions इस word से आए. It's called emphysema. Very very important. Emphysema. Emphysema is the irreversible distension. Irreversible distension means the elasticity of the alveoli is compromised. So what will happen is that just 1 second, okay. So emphysema is the irreversible distension of alveolar sac bronchioles. Now normally it develops due to tobacco or cigarette smoking, and because alveoli and bronchial sac, they have lost their elasticity, the air will remain even after expiration. मतलब इसमें residual value बढ़ जाता है. The residual value, the residual air will increase. Now what happens is whenever a person has tobacco smoke, or for that matter any kind of smoke, अब स्मोक में अनबर्न्ड पार्टिकल्स होते हैं, unburned particles. The unburned particles of smoke are called soot or tar. तो घर में अगर आप कभी हिंदूज हम दिया जलाते हैं, राइट? तो अगर आप दिया जलाते हो तो उसके ऊपर, दिया के थोड़े ऊपर अपना हाथ रखना 2 मिनट के लिए. So your hands will become black because that is the soot or tar particles, unburned particles. Now those soot or tar particles are the ones which damage the alveoli. They damage the alveoli. मतलब जो टोबैको स्मोक करता है, सिगरेट स्मोक करता है, उसमें भी सूट और टार पार्टिकल्स होते हैं. पुराने जमाने में जब खैर अभी भी बहुत सारे जगहों में ऐसा होता है, बट बाय एंड लार्ज जब पूरे इंडिया में पीपल हैव शिफ्टेड टू आइदर केरोसिन बेस्ड cooking equipment or more so LPG gases. Okay. बट जब लोग पहले लकड़ी पे खाना बनाते थे, तब स्मोक और सूट बहुत होता था. तब बेसिकली क्या होता है, सपोज ये एल्वियोलाई है, ओके. अब ये एल्वियोलाई में ये जो बीच का एरिया है वो चला गया, तो अब एल्वियोलाई ऐसा हो जाता है, तो एरिया डिस्टेंडेड हो जाता है, राइट. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट दिस 1 and 2, सो ये कैसा था, ऐसा है, राइट. और ये ऐसा है. सो 1 और 2 में से किसका सरफेस एरिया ज्यादा होगा, बताओ. 1 और 2 में से किसका सरफेस एरिया ज्यादा होगा. सरफेस एरिया का मतलब है कि जो मेम्ब्रेन का लेंथ है वो बड़ा होना चाहिए. तो अगर मैं इसको ऐसे करके ऐसे करता हूं, तो ये मेम्ब्रेन का लेंथ वर्सेस ये मेम्ब्रेन का लेंथ में दिस मेम्ब्रेन विल बी मोर. So what happens is, because the separating adjacent alveolar wall breaks down and air will remain inside, तो ऐसे लोगों को इन्फेक्शन का चांस बढ़ जाता है. बिकॉज अगर बैक्टीरिया अंदर पहुंचा तो वो ज्यादा समय के लिए रहता है. So that is called emphysema. Important, very very important, very important from the NEET perspective. Emphysema is irreversible distension of the respiratory bronchioles, alveolar sacs and alveoli. It mainly occurs due to, ये NCERT में दिया है, cigarette or tobacco smoking, but primarily it is unburned particles called soot or tar which damage the alveoli. It's a chronic disorder. What is the meaning of the word chronic? सिखाया आप लोगों को. What is the meaning of the word chronic? Come on, chat box में लिखिए. What is the meaning of the word chronic? Very good, Niranjan. Yes, it is a long term. Acute means quickly, short term. मतलब एम्फाइसीमा एक दो दिन में नहीं होता है. सालों साल जो सिगरेट पीते हैं उनमें एम्फाइसीमा होता है. Okay, very important. Number 5, emphysema. The next one is called asthma. The pronunciation is asthma, but हम इंडियंस उसको अस्थमा नाम से भी जानते हैं. Okay. Now what happens in asthma is primarily an allergic disorder. हम लोग जब ब्लड पढ़ रहे तो एलर्जी पढ़ाया था मैंने आपको. एलर्जी का मतलब क्या होता है? बॉडी रिस्पॉन्ड्स, immune system responds more. So basically the person may be allergic to unknown particles in dust. So with dust particles may, some people get asthmatic attack when they are in a polluted environment. So it's an allergic disorder. Now whenever the allergen का मतलब क्या है? Something which causes allergy. जब भी allergen respiratory system में जाता है, it causes the bronchioles to constrict. मतलब क्या होता है bronchioles to constrict? मतलब अगर bronchiole पहले ऐसा है तो अब bronchiole narrow हो जाता है. Because the smooth muscles in the bronchioles will contract. Spasm मतलब contract. तो पता है क्या होता है? अब जब ये ऐसा होता है तो एयर घूम रहा है अंदर, अंदर चले जाता है, बिकॉज द प्रेशर ऑफ एयर कैन पुश इट ओपन. But when it is coming out, the pressure is not strong enough to push it out. So very very important. दो words. In asthma we have bronchospasm. And जब bronchospasm होता है तो expiration becomes difficult in asthma, not inspiration. तो अगर एस्थमेटिक पेशेंट को देखोगे और किसी को एस्थमा अटैक आता है तो उसका मुंह खुल जाता है ना, क्योंकि वो हवा बाहर नहीं दे पा रहा है तो उसका मुंह खुल रहा है ना. इसमें क्या होता है? वीजिंग होता है. वीजिंग वीजिंग मतलब जब स्टेथोस्कोप से मैं उस जब एस्थमेटिक अटैक आ रहा है स्टेथोस्कोप से उसका लंग में देखूंगा तो उसमें वीजिंग साउंड आता है. वीजिंग साउंड कैसा साउंड होता है मालूम है? जैसे हवा बहुत जोर से चलती है तो ऐसे. यस. सो ऐसे मूवीज वगैरह में उसको एग्जैजरेट करते हैं ना वो साउंड को. when air is flowing at a very fast rate, it's called a wheeze. So there is difficulty in breathing. The difficulty in breathing is because of bronchospasm, and their expiration becomes difficult, not inspiration. The difficulty in breathing causes wheezing अंदर lungs के अंदर, and then there is inflammation of bronchi, redness, swelling होता है. So when there is swelling, the smooth muscles will contract in the bronchia. That is number 6. Number 7 is also an allergic disorder, but this is an allergic disorder of the nose. The allergic disorder of the nose is called hay fever. So if somebody has an allergy to pollen grains, it is called hay fever. It is an allergic disorder of the nasal lining. Allergy is also called hypersensitivity. Hay fever generally occurs due to some pollen grain. Okay, that is why it's commonly called hay fever. Dried grass hai hay. Hay fever occurs due to allergy. So hay fever is also called allergic rhinitis, allergic rhinitis, allergic rhinitis, that is inflammation of the nasal passage in response to allergy. Inflammation of nasal passage in response to allergy. ठीक है? So asthma and hay fever. ठीक है? Then we have one more disorder, disorder number 8. It is called atelectasis. Come on, say with me. Atelectasis. Come on, say this once again because it's a difficult word hai. Atelectasis. Atelectasis. Now, atelectasis occurs primarily because there is deficiency of atelectasis occurs because there is deficiency of surfactant. What is a surfactant? Surfactant पढ़ाया था आपको, is a phospholipid or lecithin which reduces surface tension and allows the lungs to expand. Now those children, it reduces the surface tension. That is, this condition is called as, this chemical is called surfactant, right? Now in babies, if there is a deficiency of surfactant, then the lungs will not be able to take oxygen care, the air will not be able to pass through the alveoli, and the lungs will not be able to expand at birth. तो ऐसा बच्चा, मतलब when the child is born, we want the child to cry, because when the child cries, air actually enters the lungs. So if the baby's lungs are not able to expand at birth, it is called atelectasis. Okay, atelectasis is the inability of lungs to expand at birth. It occurs due to deficiency of surfactant. So surfactant is not produced in baby's blood. Then the next disease is called occupational lung diseases. Yeah, ऐसे diseases जो factory workers में होते हैं. So inhalation of organic and inorganic pollutants is called pneumoconiosis. Long exposure can lead to inflammation. Yes, उसके वजह से क्या होता है, इंटरस्टिशियम में फाइब्रोसिस हो जाता है. Yes, occupational lung diseases में दो होता है, सिलिकोसिस, एस्बेस्टोसिस. Everything together is called pneumoconiosis. न्यूमोकोनियोसिस का मतलब है कि यहाँ पे इसको फाइब्रोटिक लंग डिजीज भी बोलते हैं. लाइक सिलिका फैक्ट्री में होता है सिलिकोसिस, एस्बेस्टोस फैक्ट्री में होता है एस्बेस्टोसिस. या तो बेसिकली क्या होता है, लॉन्ग टाइम एक्सपोजर लीड्स टू फाइब्रोसिस इन द इंटरस्टिशियम. नाउ इंटरस्टिशियल लंग टिश्यू इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द रेस्पिरेटरी मेम्ब्रेन. अगर उनमें फाइब्रोसिस हुआ तो ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ और ट्रांसफर ऑफ गैसेस अफेक्ट होता है, and the person, it can lead to death. That is why all these small particles can enter our lungs easily. We don't want that to happen, and that is why workers in these factories which produce a lot of suspended particulate matter, SPM, स्कूल में एनवायरमेंट पोल्यूशन और ये सब में आपको सिखाया होगा, सस्पेंडेड एसपीएम या पार्टिकुलेट मैटर जिसको हम बोलते हैं. अगर उसकी फैक्ट्री में कोई काम करता है तो ऐसे लोगों को ये पहनना ही चाहिए, मास्क पहनना ही चाहिए. The next one, 10th disorder. Okay. Now this disorder is called decompression sickness. इसके बहुत सारे नाम हैं. It's also called bends. It's also called diverse paralysis. It's also called Kazos disease. It's also called dysbarism. अब क्या होता है जब एक डाइवर पानी के जब एक डाइवर पानी के अंदर जाता है, ठीक है, तो क्या होता है, जो नाइट्रोजन है, राइट, नाइट्रोजन जो रहता है दैट गेट्स डिसॉल्व्ड इन द वाटर अंडर हाई प्रेशर इनसाइड द बॉडी. रिमेंबर, हमारे बॉडी में नाइट्रोजन गैस भी जाता है. सो व्हेन ही इज गोइंग डाउन, प्रेशर बढ़ते जाता है and gradually nitrogen will get dissolved in water at under high pressure. So धीरे धीरे करके ये डिसेंड करता है, और जैसे जैसे डिसेंड करता है, इसके वाटर 97% ऑफ आवर सेल्स यस इज मेड अप ऑफ वाटर, तो उसमें नाइट्रोजन डिसॉल्व होने लगता है. नाउ जब ये ऊपर की तरफ आता है, ऊपर की तरफ आने को बोलते हैं असेंट. जब वो असेंट कर रहा होता है, ठीक है ना, तो क्या होता है, ये नाइट्रोजन धीरे धीरे वाटर से बाहर निकल रहा होता है. द नाइट्रोजन विल स्टार्ट कमिंग आउट ऑफ वाटर. बट फॉर सम रीजन, इफ द असेंट इज नॉट स्लो, द असेंट इज वेरी फास्ट, ठीक है, सपोज उसके पीछे शार्क लग गया और उसने असेंट बहुत फास्ट कर दिया, देन व्हाट हैपेंस इज nitrogen comes out and gets deposited in blood in the form of bubbles. अब अगर ग्रेजुअली आता है तो द गैस सीप्स, पर अगर बहुत जल्दी आप ऊपर आते हो, अगर बहुत जल्दी एसेंट होता है, तो नाइट्रोजन गेट्स स्टोर्ड इन द टिश्यूज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ बबल्स. सो जब ऊपर से नीचे जा रहे हैं तो प्रेशर बढ़ रहा है, करेक्ट. As we are going from outside to inside water, deep sea, the pressure is increasing. So we call this process of going inside as compression. Yes. So compression क्या होता है? The nitrogen gets dissolved in water. When there is ascent happening, what is going to happen? Decompression. So decompression should be gradual. If it is gradual, there won't be nitrogen bubbles. But if the decompression is fast, there will be nitrogen bubbles in the tissues. If these bubbles come to the joints, it leads to very painful joints and in general a very painful body. If these bubbles come in a blood vessel, तो अगर आर्टरी में आ रहा है और वो बबल है, नाइट्रोजन बबल, तो वो ब्लड को आगे बढ़ने नहीं देगा अगर बबल बड़ा हो तो. So this bubble actually can obstruct the arteries to the brain or spinal cord and may cause paralysis. So that is why it is called decompression sickness. Sickness which occurs due to ascent. Sickness which occurs due to ascent, जब वो ऊपर आ रहा होता है. It is also called Bend's disease or diverse paralysis or Kazos disease or dysbarism. Okay. Remember, decompression मतलब ऊपर आना, ascent. अगर gradual ascent है तो कोई problem नहीं है, but अगर fast ascent है या fast decompression है, so the nitrogen which is there, if ascent is rapid, nitrogen escapes from tissues and blood in the form of bubbles. It will cause this is called decompression sickness. These bubbles cause severe joint pain. They may obstruct the arteries to the brain and spinal cord and cause paralysis. तो पता है इसको इसको कैसे ट्रीट करते हैं? ऐसे पेशेंट को एक क्लोज्ड चेंबर में रखते हैं, ठीक है, पेशेंट को क्लोज चेंबर में रखते हैं और उसका प्रेशर हाई कर देते हैं, तो उसको हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? हाई प्रेशर चेंबर या कंप्रेशन चेंबर। मतलब हम लोग वापस से उसको कंप्रेशन में डाल देते हैं। तो जब वापस से कंप्रेशन में डालते हैं तो ऑल द नाइट्रोजन इज डिसॉल्व्ड इन वाटर, फिर धीरे धीरे इसको डीकंप्रेशन करते हैं। सो जो बबल्स है दे विल गो बैक टू वाटर, है ना, एंड जब धीरे धीरे डीकंप्रेशन करेंगे सो द बबल्स विल मूव अवे। ये उसका ट्रीटमेंट करते हैं, उसको हम हाई प्रेशर चेंबर या हाइपर बारिक चेंबर भी बोलते हैं। Nitrogen normally is not stored in blood only when you go to high pressure situation like in deep sea. अगर आप नॉर्मली स्विमिंग करोगे तो आपको कभी ये सिकनेस नहीं होगा। इट्स ओनली व्हेन यू गो टू द डीप सी, बहुत नीचे जाते हो, स्कूबा डाइविंग करते हो, तभी होता है। ऑल्सो व्हेन वी आर ब्रीदिंग इन वेरी लिटिल अमाउंट ऑफ नाइट्रोजन, लास्ट टू लास्ट क्लास आई थिंक बताया था आपको, there is little amount of nitrogen which stays in our blood also, so we have little bit of nitrogen in our blood pool, right? So this was all about decompression sickness. Then one more disease which we have studied already, it's called carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide poisoning क्या है? We know carbon monoxide, हीमोग्लोबिन का सबसे ज्यादा एफिनिटी कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड के साथ होता है, करेक्ट? So hemoglobin has maximum affinity for carbon monoxide. Oxygen के comparison में 200 times more affinity for carbon monoxide than for oxygen. Now it forms, so normally hemoglobin, when hemoglobin combines with oxygen or carbon dioxide, this is called carb amino hemoglobin. This is called carb amino. Hemoglobin combines with carbon dioxide, it forms carb amino hemoglobin. जरूरत पड़ने पे carb amino hemoglobin will dissociate to form hemoglobin and carbon dioxide. That is because they have a 99% affinity. But carbon monoxide has a 100% affinity. मतलब this is called carboxyhemoglobin. Carboxyhemoglobin is hemoglobin along with carbon monoxide. And carbon monoxide poisoning, carboxyhemoglobin जो काम करता है वो ये है कि वो इस हीमोग्लोबिन को यूजलेस कर देता है। अब इसके ऊपर ऑक्सीजन चिपक नहीं सकता, और क्योंकि इसके ऊपर कोई ऑक्सीजन चिपक नहीं सकता, ये हीमोग्लोबिन यूजलेस है। नाउ इमेजिन जितना ज्यादा कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड होगा उतना ज्यादा हीमोग्लोबिन्स वेस्ट, तो क्या होगा? इट विल लीड टू अस्फिक्सिएशन। अस्फिक्सिया कब होता है? जब ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल टू द टिश्यूज कम होता है और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड टिश्यूज में ज्यादा हो जाता है। सो इन एक्सट्रीम केसेस इट कैन लीड टू डेथ। सो कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड पॉइजनिंग में पेशेंट को सफोकेशन फील होता है, इवन दो उसका ब्रेथ नॉर्मल है या ट्रकिया ब्रोंकाई ब्रोंक्यूल ये सब नॉर्मल है, फिर भी एक वो पेशेंट को अस्फिक्सिएशन फील होता है, बिकॉज कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड हीमोग्लोबिन से चिपक के उस हीमोग्लोबिन को यूजलेस कर देता है। All right, so that is carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, some diseases which have been, very talked of in the recent past. एक अगेन चाइना से निकला हुआ ये बीमारी था called SARS. SARS is known as severe acute respiratory syndrome. It is a deadly disease caused by coronavirus. जो हम लोग अभी कोरोना वायरस कर रहे हैं, it's a mutant form of इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस। ओके, तो ये जो कोरोना वायरस अभी या कोरोना डिजीज आया है, उस कोरोना वायरस के बहुत सारे म्यूटेशन है। पहले उसके इसके डिजीज सार्स होता था। देन दो फ्लूज है, एक जो बर्ड से ह्यूमंस में आया है और दूसरा जो पिग से ह्यूमन में आया है। ठीक है, इसके बारे में भी बहुत सारी बातें चल रही है। 2-4 दिन पहले बहुत सारे बर्ड्स राजस्थान के कोई तो डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, आई एम फॉरगेटिंग, crows started falling from the sky, and when they were checked, they were suffering from bird flu. तो अभी सबको एक एडवाइजरी जारी की गई है पूरे इंडिया में कि अगर आप नॉर्मल चिकन विकन खा रहे हो तो ध्यान से, अगर एग खा रहे हो तो कंप्लीटली बॉईल करके उसको, जो लोग पार बॉईल करके या हाफ फ्राई या सनी साइड आप ऐसा बोलते हैं ना, वो प्रॉपरली बॉईल करके खाना है। ठीक है, यस देवांगी। सो बर्ड फ्लू इज कॉज बाय वायरस H5N1, ये याद रखना है। एंड स्वाइन इज फीमेल ऑफ पिग। स्वाइन फ्लू इज कॉज्ड बाय वायरस H1N1। ठीक है, अभी आपको ये तो मालूम है, अभी जो चल रहा है वो डिजीज, उसको क्या बोला है? कोविड। पता है उसका नाम कोविड क्यों पड़ा है? बताओ कोविड क्यों पड़ा है नाम उसका? उसका म्यूटेशन नंबर 19 ये डिजीज कॉज कर रहा है। कोविड-19 क्यों बोलते हैं उसको? डिजीज का नाम है कोविड-19। वेरी गुड देवंगी। चलो, अभी जो करंट डिजीज चल रहा है उसको कोविड क्यों बोलते हैं? कोविड-19 क्यों बोलते हैं बताओ? यस, कोरोना वायरस डिजीज। CO कोरोना, VI वायरस, D इज डिजीज, कोरोना वायरस डिजीज। ना इंडिया में एक बहुत फेमस डिजीज है जो थूकने से फैलती है। इट्स एन एयरबॉर्न डिजीज, और इंडिया में इसके बहुत सारे वेरिएंट्स अवेलेबल हैं, और उसको हम बोलते हैं टीबी। टीबी इज अ शॉर्ट फॉर्म फॉर ट्यूबरक्यूलोसिस। Tuberculosis is caused by a bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Mycobacterium tuberculosis. माइको का मतलब होता है लाइक फंगस। ये भी हमने जब बायोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन किया था, देयर आर मेनी बैक्टीरिया विच लुक लाइक फंगस, दे आर कॉल्ड माइकोबैक्टीरियम। सो माइकोबैक्टीरियम ट्यूबरक्यूलोसिस कॉजेस टीबी। टीबी शॉर्ट फॉर्म, कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेज में टेराबाइट, मेडिकल लैंग्वेज में ट्यूबरक्यूलोसिस। It destroys the normal lung tissue and replaces it with fibrous tissue. Fibrous tissue का मतलब क्या है? उधर कनेक्टिव टिश्यू विथ कोलेजन फाइबर्स हो जाएंगे। सो दैट वाज ट्यूबरक्यूलोसिस। अब अगर आप नंबरिंग देखोगे तो मैंने 13 और 14, they are not diseases but they are conditions which are also related to respiratory system. Take that on the new slide. The first condition is called hiccups. Hiccups क्या है? हिचकी. And the second condition is called snoring. Now hiccups is a sharp, jerky, incomplete inspiratory sound. Sharp, jerky, continuous नहीं है. Incomplete inspiratory sound which occurs due to sudden spasmodic contraction of the diaphragm. So hiccup is a problem with the diaphragm. Okay, simultaneous irritation of sensory nerves. The stimulus is irritation of sensory nerves of the digestive tract. मतलब अगर आपने बहुत कुछ स्पाइसी खा लिया, या आपने बहुत टाइम से खाना नहीं खा और सडनली जोर से फटाफट खाया, तो आपको हिकअप आ जाता है। या अगर बहुत तीखा खा लिया तो भी आपको हिकअप आ जाता है। ठीक है, सो इट इज बेसिकली इरिटेशन ऑफ द नर्व्स नियर द डाइजेस्टिव ट्रैक्ट which stimulate the diaphragm. Yes खुशी, interphrenic nerve बोलते हैं उसको. Then next is snoring. Snoring is a noise which is produced during sleep. ठीक है, तो when we अगर कोई खर्राटे बोलते हैं हम इसको, so it's again an inspiratory sound. मतलब the sound produced when you breathe in air. Hiccups is also inspiratory sound. It is produced by the vibrations of vocal cords during sleep, which occurs due to partial blockage of upper respiratory tract by the tongue. अभी बताता हूँ, दो तीन चीजें होती है, या तो टंग ब्लॉक करता है, तो किसी का अगर टंग बाहर रहता है तो वो. दूसरा स्नोरिंग होता है, हम अगर आप किसी का मुंह खोलोगे तो रूफ से ऐसे हैंगिंग एक स्ट्रक्चर आता है, राइट. अगर कोई कार्टून फिल्म्स वगैरह देखते हो तो उसमें जब बच्चे को दिखाते रोते हुए तो ये हैंग करता है. दिस कमिंग फ्रॉम द रूफ ऑफ द माउथ इज कॉल्ड यूव्यूला. वेरी गुड निरंजन, वेरी गुड श्रेया. तो ये जब हवा अंदर जाती है और यूव्यूला अगर किसी का बड़ा है तो ये यूव्यूला भी हिलने लगता है, तो वो भी आवाज आती है, उसको स्नोरिंग की आवाज बोलते हैं. ओके ना, अगर किसी को स्नोरिंग हो रहा है तो इसका मतलब क्या है, देयर इज अ पार्शियल ब्लॉकेज ऑफ अपर रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट. तो जो लोग बहुत ज्यादा स्नोरिंग करते हैं वो बहुत ज्यादा समय सोने के बाद भी फ्रेश महसूस नहीं करते. क्यों वो फ्रेश महसूस नहीं करते? बिकॉज सोने के बाद जो ऑक्सीजन का क्वांटिटी ब्लड में बढ़ता है वो स्नोरिंग के वजह से नहीं हो पाता है, बिकॉज देयर इज पार्शियल ब्लॉकेज ऑफ upper respiratory tract. So hiccups and snoring is not a disease, they are conditions in which a person, because and many a times they are temporary. Okay, now if a person is overweight, then generally they tend to snore because there is deposition of fat around the throat. So that is all about snoring, but even thin people can snore. So ऐसा नहीं है कि snoring is only a fat disease, fat person's disease, right? So this completes our discussion. I want all of y'all to quickly open your NCERT book. Let's do a little bit of reading from the NCERT. It's important. I hope all of y'all keep on reading your NCERT every single time. By the time 2 years is over, I want you all to have read your NCERT at least 15 times. हर टेस्ट के पहले पढ़ना है, हर लेक्चर के पहले पढ़ना है. एनसीईआरटी बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. उसके अलावा भी चीज़ें मैं जो पढ़ाता हूँ आपको इन डेप्थ, आप मेरे लेक्चर नोट्स भी रेफर कर सकते हो, बट एनसीईआरटी प्राइम इंपॉर्टेंस. देखो मैं एक सिंपल चीज बताता हूँ, नीट में बाहर से भी क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, ओके, बट अगर एनसीईआरटी वाले ही आप ठीक नहीं कर पाए और बाहर इतना सब पढ़ा और एनसीईआरटी में जो लिखा था वो ही नहीं कर पाए, सो देन इट इज गोइंग टू बी नॉट वर्थ इट, है ना. ठीक है, प्लीज वॉलेंटियर फॉर रीडिंग. निरंजन शमिका को छोड़ के, बिकॉज दे ऑलवेज वॉलेंटियर. आई वॉन्ट अदर पीपल, बाकी लोग भी प्लीज वॉलेंटियर करिए. ओके, ऑल राइट. सी व्हेन समबडी एल्स इज रीडिंग ऑल्सो आप मुझे डायरेक्ट मैसेज कर सकते हो, ठीक है. तो अभी तक रश्मि, अनन्या और रितिशा ने बोला है. रश्मि प्लीज. Yes, Rashmi, go ahead, unmute yourself. Regulation of respiration.
Regulation of respiration. Human beings have a significant ability to maintain and moderate the respiratory rhythm to suit the demands of the body tissues. This is done by the neural system.
Underline that neural system.
A specialized
Because
set.
brain, just 1 second, sorry. Because the brain and brain, pons varoli and medulla oblongata are involved. So neural system important. Yes.
A specialized center present in the medulla region of the brain called respiratory rhythm center is primarily responsible for this regulation.
Stop. Respiratory rhythm center एनसीईआरटी ने लिखा है राइट. वो एक्चुअली क्या है? डॉर्सल रेस्पिरेटरी ग्रुप. यस.
Another center present in the pons region of the brain called pneumotaxic center can moderate the functions of the respiratory rhythm center.
So NCERT says pneumotaxic center can moderate the function. मैंने एक फ्लो चार्ट के इससे आपको बताया, अगर पार्शियल प्रेशर ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कम होगा तो रेस्पिरेटरी रिदम सेंटर को वो स्टिमुलेट करेगा कि रेस्पिरेटरी रेट कम हो जाए. यस, गो अहेड प्लीज.
Neural signal from this center can reduce the duration of inspiration and thereby alter the respiratory rate.
Very important. Neural signal from pneumotaxic center can do what? It will reduce the duration of inspiration. Reduce the duration of inspiration.
A
Yeah, go ahead, please.
chemosensitive area is situated adjacent to the rhythm center, which is highly sensitive to CO2 and hydrogen ions. Increase in these
Stop. ये कौन से कीमोसेंसिटिव सेंटर के बारे में बात कर रहा है? ये जो कीमोसेंसिटिव एरिया बोला वो कौन कर रहा है? सेंट्रल कीमो रिसेप्टर्स के बारे में याद है? सेंट्रल कीमो रिसेप्टर्स आर प्रेजेंट इन द मेडुला. तो क्या लिखा है? a chemosensitive area is situated adjacent to rhythm center. rhythm center कहाँ पे है? मेडुला में. which is highly sensitive to carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions, that is acidity in the CSF. Okay, yes please.
Increase in these substances can activate this center, which in turn can signal the rhythm center to make necessary adjustments in the respiratory process by which these substances can be eliminated. Receptors associated with aortic arc and carotid artery also can recognize changes in CO2 and H plus concentration and send necessary signals to the rhythm center for remedial actions. The role of oxygen in regulation of respiratory
Great.
rhythm is
So
quite
aortic
essential.
arc. Yes. So aortic arc में वो aortic sinus और carotid artery में carotid sinus बताया था आपको अभी. तो ये भी ये पेरिफेरल कीमो रिसेप्टर्स हैं. ठीक है, they recognize the changes in carbon dioxide rhythm center, right? The important role of oxygen in regulation of respiratory rhythm is quite insignificant. All right, thank you Rashmi. You can please mute yourself. Ananya, please unmute yourself. Disorders of the respiratory system.
Yes, sir. Disorders of respiratory system. Asthma is a difficulty in breathing causing wheezing due to inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles. Emphysema is a chronic disorder in which alveolar.
Stop. Ananya, Ananya, stop. Yeah, so the important क्या है? Wheezing is that flow of air. Yes, and inflammation is redness, swelling, pain, and heat. Inflammation could also be due to allergy. Yes, yes, Ananya. Emphysema.
Emphysema is a chronic disorder in which
Yeah, emphysema.
alveolar walls are damaged due to which respiratory surface is decreased. One of the major causes of this is cigarette smoking. Occupational respiratory disorders.
Right.
In certain industries, especially those involving grinding of or stone breaking, so much dust is produced that the defense mechanism of the body cannot fully cope with the situation. Long exposure can give rise to inflammation leading to fibrosis, proliferation of fibrous tissues, and thus causing serious lung damage. Workers in such industries should wear protective masks.
Proliferation means spread or cell division. That's great. Chalo. Thank you, Ananya. Ritisha from Thane, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
In case anyone else wants to read, please, you can keep on adding. Yeah, Ritisha, from the beginning now.
Okay. As you have read earlier, oxygen, so from respiratory organs or from the introductory passage?
No, no, you're correct. Continue.
Okay. As you have read earlier, oxygen is utilized by the organisms to indirectly break down simple molecules like glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, etc., to derive energy to perform various activities. Carbon dioxide, which is harmful, is also released during the above catabolic reactions. It is therefore evident that O2 has to be continuously provided to the cells and CO2 produced by the cells have to be released out. This process of exchange of O2 from the atmosphere with CO2 produced by the cells is called breathing, commonly known as respiration. Place your hands on your chest. You can feel the chest moving up and down. You know that it is due to breathing. How do we breathe? The respiratory organs and the mechanism of breathing are described in the following sections of the chapter. Respiratory organs. Mechanisms of breathing vary among different groups of animals depending mainly on their habitats and levels of organization. Lower invertebrates like sponges, coelentrates, flatworms, etc., exchange O2 with CO2 by simple diffusion over the entire body surface. Earthworms use their moist cuticle, and insects have a network of tubes, tracheal tubes, to transport atmospheric air within the body. Special vascularized structures called gills, branchial respiration, are used by most of the aquatic arthropods and mollusks, where vascularized bags called lungs, pulmonary respiration, are used by the terrestrial forms for the exchange of gases. Among vertebrates, fishes use gills, whereas amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals respire through lungs. Amphibians, like frogs, can respire through their moist skin, cutaneous respiration also.
Thank you so much, Ritisha. Thank you. Astha, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, read, please.
Human respiratory system. We have a pair of external nostrils.
Astha, if you can please speak close to the mic.
Yes, sir. Sir, is this clear?
Not really. If you can be a little louder. Yeah, Astha, please go ahead.
Sir, is this clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Human respiratory system. We have a pair of external nostrils opening out above the upper lips. It leads to nasal chamber through the nasal passage. The nasal chamber opens into pharynx, a portion of which is common passage for food and air. The pharynx opens through the larynx region into trachea. Larynx is a cartilaginous box which helps in sound production and hence is called sound box. During swallowing, glottis can be covered by a thin elastic cartilaginous flap called epiglottis to prevent the entry of food into the larynx. Trachea is a straight tube extending up to the mid-thoracic cavity, which divides at the level of fifth thoracic vertebra into a right and left primary bronchi. Each bronchi undergo repeated division to form the secondary and tertiary bronchi and bronchioles, ending up in very thin terminal bronchioles. The trachea, primary, secondary, and tertiary bronchi and initial bronchioles are supported by incomplete cartilaginous rings
Please underline the statement, important. Okay. That means entire bronchial tree is surrounded by incomplete cartilaginous things. Initial bronchioles मतलब terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles में नहीं होता. Yes.
Each terminal bronchioles give rise to a number of very thin, irregularly walled and vascularized bags like structure called alveoli. The branching network of bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli comprises the lungs. We have two lungs which are covered by a double-layered pleura with pleural fluid between them. It reduces the friction of lung surface. The outer pleural membrane is close.
Important.
Is in close
Outer pleural membrane and inner pleural membrane.
is in close contact with thoracic lining, whereas the inner pleural membrane is in contact with lung surface. The part starting with the external nostrils up to the terminal bronchioles constitute the conducting part, whereas the alveoli and their duct form the respiratory or exchange part of the respiratory system. The conducting part transports the atmospheric air to the alveoli, clears it from foreign particles, humidifies, and also brings the air to body temperature. Exchange part is the site of actual diffusion of O2 and CO2 between blood and atmospheric air. The lungs are situated in the thoracic chamber, which is anatomically an airtight chamber. The thoracic chamber
Anatomically matlab structurally it's closed on all sides. Yeah. Yeah.
The thoracic chamber is formed dorsally by the vertebral column, ventrally by sternum, laterally by the ribs, and on lower side by the dome-shaped diaphragm. The anatomical setup of lungs in thorax is such that any change in the volume of thoracic cavity will be reflected in the lungs pulmonary cavity. Such an arrangement is essential for breathing as we cannot directly alter the pulmonary volume.
Thank you, beta. Next, to volunteer after Asta is Kalyani. Kalyani, please unmute yourself. Kalyani from Panvel, please unmute yourself. No. Shreya from Pain, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible, sir?
Who's this?
Shreya.
Yes, Shreya. Go ahead.
Respiration involves the following steps: breathing or pulmonary ventilation, by which atmospheric air is drawn in and CO2 rich alveolar air is released out. Second, diffusion of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide across alveolar membrane. Third, transport of gases by the blood. Fourth, diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide between blood and tissues. Fifth, utilization of oxygen by the cells for catabolic reactions and resultant release of CO2. Mechanism of breathing. Breathing involves two stages: inspiration, during which atmospheric air is drawn in, and expiration, by which the alveolar air is released out. The movement of air into and out of the lungs is carried out by creating a pressure gradient between the lungs and the atmosphere. Inspiration can occur if the pressure within the lungs, intrapulmonary pressure, is less than the atmospheric pressure. That is, there is a negative pressure in the lungs with respect to atmospheric pressure. Similarly, expiration takes place when the intrapulmonary pressure is higher than the atmospheric pressure. The diaphragm and a specialized set of muscles, external and internal intercostals between the ribs, help in generation of such gradients. Inspiration is initiated by the contraction of diaphragm, which increases the volume of thoracic chamber in the anterior-posterior axis.
Very well.
The contraction of external intercostal muscle lifts up the ribs and the sternum, causing an increase in the volume of the thoracic chamber in the dorsoventral axis.
External intercostal muscles.
The overall increase in the thoracic volume causes a similar increase in pulmonary volume. An increase in pulmonary volume decreases the intrapulmonary pressure to less than the atmospheric pressure, which forces the air from outside to move into the lungs. That is
Stop. So अभी क्या बोला? Increase in pulmonary volume. Volume increases, so pressure will decrease. So increase in pulmonary volume decreases the intrapulmonary pressure. Okay, causing inspiration. Continue, look at the diagram carefully. The first A is inspiration, where the air is entering in and the diaphragm is contracted, so it is going down. Yes, chalo. Next.
Relaxation of the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles returns the diaphragm and sternum to their normal positions and reduce the thoracic volume and thereby the pulmonary volume. This leads to an increase in intrapulmonary pressure to slightly above the atmospheric pressure, causing the expulsion of air from the lungs, that is expiration. We have the ability to increase the strength of inspiration and expiration with the help of additional muscles in the abdomen. On an average, a healthy human breathes 12 to 16 times per minute. The volume of air involved in breathing movements can be estimated by using a spirometer, which helps in clinical assessment of pulmonary functions.
Thank you very much, Shreya. Kalyani's mic is working now. Kalyani, please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Respiratory volumes and capacities.
Respiratory volumes and capacities. Tidal volume, volume of air inspired or hello.
Yes, Kalyani, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Expired during a normal respiration. It is approx 500 ml. That is, a healthy man can inspire or expire approximately 6,000 to 8,000 ml of air per minute. Inspiratory reserve volume, additional volume of air a person can inspire by a forcible
Yes.
forcible inspiration. This average 2,500 ml to 3,000 ml. Expiratory reserve volume, additional volume of air a person can expire by forcible expiration. This average 1,000 ml to
1100 ml. Yeah. 1100. Yeah, Kalyani, go ahead, please. Kalyani, go ahead, please. Okay. Shruti? Shruti?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Continue from residual volume data.
Residual volume, volume of air remaining in the lungs even after forcible expiration. This averages 100 ml, 1100 ml to 1200 ml. By adding a few respiratory volume described below, one can derive various pulmonary capacities which can be used in clinical diagnosis. Inspiratory capacity. Total volume of air a person can inspire after a normal expiration. This includes tidal volume and inspiratory reserve volume. Expiratory capacity. Total volume of air a person can expire after a normal inspiration. This includes tidal volume and expiratory reserve volume. Functional residual capacity. Volume of air that will remain in the lungs after a normal expiration. This includes ERV plus RV. Vital capacity, the maximum volume of air a person can breathe in breathe in after forced expiration. This includes ERB, TB, and IRB, or the maximum volume of air a person can breathe out after forced inspiration. Total lung capacity, total volume of air accommodated in the lung at the end of a forced inspiration. This includes RV, ERV, TB, and IRV, or vital capacity plus residual volume.
Go ahead, please.
Exchange of gases. Alveoli are the primary sites of exchange of gases. Exchange of gases also occur between blood and tissues. O2 and CO2 are exchanged in these sites by simple diffusion, mainly based on pressure or concentration gradient. Solubility of the gases as well as the thickness of the membranes involved in diffusion are also important factors that can affect the rate of diffusion. Pressure
Important three things. अगर ये पैराग्राफ देखो तो 3 things. One is partial pressure, second is solubility of gas, and third is thickness of membrane. Yes, yeah. Go ahead, please.
pressure contributed by an individual gas in a mixture of gases is called partial pressure and is represented as PO2 for oxygen and PCO2 for carbon dioxide. Partial pressure of these two gases in the atmospheric air and the two sites of diffusion are given in table 17.1 and in figure 17.3. The data given in the table clearly indicates a concentration gradient for oxygen from alveoli to blood and blood to tissues. Similarly, a gradient is present for CO2 in the opposite direction, that is, from tissues to blood and blood to alveoli. As the solubility of CO2 is 20 to 25 times higher than that of O2, the amount of CO2 that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is much higher compared to the membrane per unit difference in partial pressure is compared to that of O2. The diffusion membrane is made up of three major layers.
हमने 5 पढ़ा था NCERT उसको 3 बोलता है, so you have to stick to that only. Okay, yes.
The thin squamous epithelium of alveoli, the endothelium of alveolar capillaries, and the basement substance composed of a thin basement membrane supporting the squamous epithelium and the basement membrane surrounding the single layer endothelial cells of capillary.
So इन्होंने दोनों बेसमेंट मेम्ब्रेन को कंबाइन करके एक ही बेसमेंट मेम्ब्रेन लिया है. वो जो येलो वाला पार्ट दिख रहा है बीच में, बट एक्चुअली दोनों के अलग अलग बेसमेंट मेम्ब्रेन्स होते हैं और उसमें फाइबर्स होते हैं. लेकिन अगर नीट में पूछा तो आप लिखेंगे 3 मेजर लेयर्स ओनली. यस.
However, its total thickness is much less than a millimeter. Therefore, all the factors in our body are favorable for diffusion of O2 from alveoli to tissues and that of CO2 from tissues to alveoli.
Yeah. All right. Who's next? Anyone else wants to volunteer? Thank you, Shruti. Anyone else wants to volunteer for reading? Yeah, Kushi, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Transport of gases. Blood is medium of transport for oxygen and carbon dioxide. About 97% of oxygen is transported by RBCs in the blood. The remaining 3% of oxygen is carried in a dissolved state through the plasma. Nearly 20 to 25% of CO2 is transported by RBCs, whereas 70% of it is carried as bicarbonate. About 7% of carbon dioxide is carried in a dissolved state through plasma. Transport of oxygen. Hemoglobin is a red-colored iron-containing pigment present in RBCs. Oxygen can bind with hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry maximum of 4 molecules of oxygen. Binding of oxygen with hemoglobin is primarily related to partial pressure of oxygen. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide Hydrogen ion concentration and temperature are the other factors which can interfere with the binding. A sigmoid bond curve is obtained when the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen is plotted against PO2. This curve is called the oxygen dissociation curve and is highly useful in studying the effects of factors like PCO2, H plus concentration, etc. on binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. In alveoli, where there is high PO2, low PCAO2, lesser H plus concentration, and low temperature, the factors are all favorable for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Whereas in the tissues where low PO2, high PCO2, high H plus concentration, and higher temperature exists, the condition are favorable for dissociation of oxygen from the oxyhemoglobin. This clearly indicates that oxygen gets bond to hemoglobin in the lung surface and gets dissociated at tissues. Every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver around 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological condition.
So I have marked the conditions in the alveoli. In the alveoli, see I have marked this in yellow. In the alveoli where there is, yes, can you see that paragraph? Now tell me here the oxygen dissociation curve is shift to the right or to the left? If I draw an oxygen dissociation curve in the alveoli, will it be on the right or will it be on the left? Look at the conditions and tell me. Right or left in the chat box? There is high partial pressure of oxygen, low carbon dioxide. So will it be combining, and they're all favorable for formation of oxyhemoglobin. So what does that mean? Yes, Niranjan, yes, Shreya, yes, Khushi. So alveoli में रश्मि, correct? लेफ्ट में होगा और टिश्यूज में राइट में होगा. प्रथमेश, you're absolutely correct. Alveoli में the curve will shift to the left and tissues में curve will shift to the right. All right, the last reading paragraph, Niranjan, please go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is carried by hemoglobin as carbamine hemoglobin, about 20 to 25%. This binding is related to the
मैंने आपको 23% पढ़ा है. NCERT gives 20 to 25%. Yes.
this binding is related to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide and partial pressure of oxygen is a major factor which could affect this binding. When P of carbon dioxide is high and partial pressure of oxygen is low, as in the tissues, more binding of carbon dioxide occurs. Whereas when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low and partial pressure of oxygen is high, as in the alveoli, dissociation of carbon dioxide from carbamine hemoglobin takes place. That is, carbon dioxide which is bound to hemoglobin from the tissues is delivered at the alveoli. RBCs contain a very high concentration of the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, and minute quantities of the same is present in plasma too.
Underline
This
this,
enzyme
very, very important. There is more carbonic anhydrase as compared to in the RBC as compared to plasma. Please go ahead.
this
Yes, Niranjan, go ahead.
This enzyme facilitates the following reaction in both directions. Carbon dioxide plus water in presence of carbonic anhydrase gives a reversible reaction and forms carbonic acid, and with the in presence of carbonic anhydrase forms bicarbonate ions and H plus ions. At the tissue site, where partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high due to catabolism, carbon dioxide diffuses into blood, RBCs, and plasma and forms bicarbonate ions and H plus ions. At the alveolar site, where partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low, the reaction proceeds in the opposite direction, leading to the formation of carbon dioxide and water. Thus, carbon dioxide trapped as bicarbonate at the tissue level and transported to the alveoli is released out as carbon dioxide. Every 100 ml of deoxygenated blood delivers approximately 4 ml of carbon dioxide to the alveoli.
ओके कार्बोनिक एनहाइड्रेस का दूसरा नाम कार्बोनिक और कार्बोनेट डिहाइड्रेटेज भी होता है. तो कभी अगर कार्बोनिक एनहाइड्रेस के जगह है कार्बोनेट डिहाइड्रेटेज, अगर ये वर्ड आया सो वो दोनों सेम है. ठीक है. Now, how many of y'all have not solved booklet questions? Please type it in the chat box. And I want to see everybody's response. अगर आपने solve किया है तो आप लिखेंगे solved. अगर solve नहीं किया है तो not solved. Okay. I'm going to take everybody's name. Once I take your name, only then you write. Chinmay, because if you have not solved, it is okay. You can tell me right now. Chinmay, solved or not solved? Quickly. Okay, Shamika. Shravani. Okay. Arya. Aditi. Seawoods Aditi. Ananya. Deependra. Devangi. My question is, last class I asked all of y'all to solve all questions from booklet. So how many of y'all have not solved? That's my question. Himansh Jain, Josna, Kalyani, Kaustub, Patil, Khushi, Niranjan, Prathamesh, Rimjim, Siley, Ria, Siley, Saloni, Shantanu, Shravani Z, Shreya, Shruti, Seawoods, Suramya, Tithi, Suramya and Tithi. Solved or not solved, Tithi? Don't give me a yes or a no. Solved or not solved? Suramya and Tithi, you'll write solved or not solved. Astha, Aman, Isha, Panvel, Jay, Prachi, Chetan, Varun, Amisha, Akhilesh, Aditya, Rashmi, okay. So, more than two-thirds, more than 60% kids have not solved the booklet. Okay. Hence, we cannot discuss it. Next class, if you solve the booklet, we will discuss it. In case your booklet is not solved, मतलब अभी वो डर ही नहीं है ना, क्योंकि फिजिकली देख नहीं रहे हैं, तो अभी मैं भी चिल्ला के क्यों मैं ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ाऊं, तो वी विल स्टॉप द क्लास हियर ओनली. तुम लोग का जब सॉल्व करके हो जाएगा तब हम डिस्कस करेंगे. एनी विच वेज ये पेपर में आ रहा है. अब नेक्स्ट क्लास के से नया चैप्टर चालू करेंगे. ऑल राइट, चलो, थैंक यू वेरी मच. We can disperse here. Those who have solved the booklets, very good for you. Yeah, Devangi, what's the research question? Yes. Did you find out what is there in HBF? Very good, Devangi. What about the others? कुछ find out किया HBF में क्या होता है? Very good, Shreya. So normal hemoglobin में alpha 2 beta 2 होता है. Adult hemoglobin में, fetal hemoglobin में होता है alpha 2 gamma 2. अल्फा 2 गैमा 2. ठीक है. एनीथिंग एल्स? चलो देन, बाय बाय, टेक केयर, थैंक यू वेरी मच.